Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a boy, I wish you the best. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Kasa podcast. Today, we're telling Anansesem. For those who are not familiar with Anansesem, we're talking about Ghanaian folklore. We're going to be introducing you to a part of Ghanaian culture, which is we'll tell the story and tell the lessons most people derive from it. Kwadwo Ananse, through these stories, you're going to know so much about him, but he is probably one of the biggest characters in African traditional folklore. Through Ananse stories, lessons have been transmitted from one generation to another. For the West African sub-region, and even as far as some parts of North Africa and Latin America, stories of Kwadwo Ananse have been told for generations. And today, here on the podcast, we're going to be telling our favorite folklore about Kwadwo Ananse. Today we're going to have a very unique competition here on the tribe. Every tribe member is going to go through their story, the lessons. We're going to laugh and discuss some of them. I have Afia in the building. I have Wendy in the building. Ekow is here. Everybody's ready to tell their stories and win the award. And guys, we have a bet backstage. The four of us have put some money in a pot for the person who tells the best story. So guys, you know who to vote for. You know who to vote for right here. Guys, we're going to jump right in. I'm so excited. We're going to get into this. So I'm going to kickstart this. Guys, my story. Before I jump into my story, I would like to give a primer for those who are not Ghanaians, right? Whenever we're going to tell a Kwadwo Ananse story or Ananse story, we start with the phrase Anansesem, which basically means the story I'm about to tell might contain some trickery. It might contain some witty maneuvers by Kwadwo Ananse. Normally, the audience would respond, Esewara. And so for every one of our stories, we're going to start the traditional Ghanaian way and say Anansesem Yesisiu. And I hope you at home would respond, Esewara. So I'm going to jump right in. Anansesem Yesisiu. I presume you've said it. All right. This story talks about Ananse and how he owned the right to all the Ananse stories you'd hear. And so a long time ago, kings and mighty men from all over the world decided to own the rights to all mythological stories and folktales. Many came to try to claim this as their property, as their birthright. And as the many legends came and went and nobody could claim it, Otwediampong Kwame, the custodian of stories at the time, was almost certain no man or woman can take this right. One day, Ananse walked his way to the throne room of Otwediampong Kwame and said, Otwediampong, I want to get the rights to all folktales that are ever going to be told. I want them all to be mine. I want to own it all. And Otwediampong Kwame told him, Kweku, there are only 3 small challenges you have to face. If you meet them all, you will get exclusive right to all folktales. Ananse said, tell me these and I would aptly fulfill all the challenges set before me. Otwediampong Kwame said, you need 3 things. You need a band of hornets. The second thing you need is a very long python. The third thing you need is a live leopard. Once you bring these 3 things to me, I would confer on you the custodian of all folktales. So Ananse walked away and looking for these 3 things. He came across a band of hornets in their comb and he was like, how do I get these hornets to send to Otwediampong? So Ananse went and got himself a jar. He lined the jar with some honey and he poured water on himself and sprinkled some water on the hornet's nest. And so when the hornets came out, they're like, oh my goodness, it's raining and our house is going to be wet and we're all going to die. Ananse beckoned them and said, hey, my friends, you're not going to die. I have a safety plan for you. If you guys would all come into this jar, I've packed food, provisions for days, you can stay dry and then you would not all die. The hornets happily entered Ananse's jar and Ananse covered this jar, smiled at himself and said, this was easier than I thought. Ananse went back to Otwediampong Kwame and set his jar before him with the hornets and said, I'd bring the rest of my requirements. Ananse went off, found himself a very long log that was really strong, put this log on his neck and started walking towards the cave of a python. On his way, Ananse was speaking to himself and arguing loudly. He's definitely stronger than this. My wife Okonoreya is wrong. Okonoreya knows nothing about snakes. She is wrong, and today I'm going to prove to her she is wrong. So as the python heard Ananse argue with himself from a distance, he got curious and said, "Hey, Eja Ananse, why do you walk around with a log on your neck and you're just yelling and arguing with yourself?" Ananse said, "Listen, my wife Okonoreya and I have been arguing for weeks as to how long and strong you are. I think you are much longer than this log I am holding, and you are much stronger than this log, but my wife for some reason thinks you're not." And the python was quite surprised. Why would they be arguing about this? Why argue with your wife till your face turns blue? Why don't you lay the log? I'd lie next to it and would see if I am taller and stronger than this log or shorter. Ananse laid the log and the python laid next to the log. But for some reason, the python wasn't as long as the log. And try as the python did, it could not stretch itself out longer than the log. Ananse was like, listen, I have a plan. What if I tied your tail to this log and then you stretched yourself to your longest and fullest? Maybe you might be the log. And when the python agreed, Ananse tied the tail of the python. The python kept trying to get to the end of the log, and Ananse is like, "You know what? I know the problem. If I could tie your mid region, maybe you can stretch out a lot more, because I know your head is pretty long." And so he tied the mid region of the snake to this log, and the snake kept stretching. And he's like, "Listen, let me help you out here. Let me just tie your neck to the log too, and then maybe you just stretch out a few inches and you would make it past this log." When the python agreed, Ananse quickly tied it up, and now that the python was securely fastened to the log, Ananse lifted his log and the python and took it straight to Chediampong Kwame. That was 2 down. Ananse decided for his third challenge, which was going to be the most challenging of all, he had to be a lot more clever and had to put a lot more effort into it. And so Kweku looked for his cheat, the leopard he was going to trap, studied it for weeks, found out all its pattern, where the leopard walked every morning and where it came back home every night. And one day, when the leopard had gone out to hunt, Ananse dug a big trench and covered it with leaves and sprinkled some sand on it and made this trench invisible to the naked eye. When the leopard was coming home in the night, tired and exhausted from its hunt of the day, it stepped on the strap and fell right through to the bottom of the trench. Ananse waited till the leopard was frustrated and tired and weary and stayed in all night, couldn't get out of the trench. Ananse waited a little longer and made the leopard stay in all day. So the leopard was really tired, weary, and wanted to go home. Ananse came out of the bushes he was hiding in and said, "Hey, Mr. Leopard, what's up with you?" He's like, "Man, I've been trapped in this trench for almost a day. I'm so weary, I need to go home. I need your help. Can you help me?" Ananse was like, "Mr. Leopard, hungry and you've been in this for a while. If I let you out, you're going to eat me." Leopard was like, "Look, I give you my word. I'm not going to eat you. I'm really tired and I'm beginning to even get woozy and lightheaded." It was then that Ananse's eye twinkled. Ananse was like, "This is right where I need the leopard." So Ananse caught a tree branch, tied a rope to it, and told the leopard, "Listen, Mr. Leopard, I would like you to tie this rope around your neck, but I know you don't trust me and you might think I'll let you hang. So you know what? Tie this around your tail and then I would lift you out." The leopard thought about it for a second and was like, if I tie it around my neck, this man could kill me. So hey, tail sounds better. So it tied the rope around its tail, and Ananse let go of the branch and the tree yanked the leopard out of the trench. But Ananse did not let the leopard go. It made the leopard dangle down there, spun and spun and spun, and when this tired, weary leopard could take it no more, it passed out. Kweku quickly cut down the rope, tied the leopard's hands and legs, and lifted the leopard and went straight to Chediampong and said, "Chediampong, this is the last thing you asked me to bring. I've brought all 3. Can I own the rights to all folklore?" Chediampong looked at Kweku Ananse and was like, "Wow, great men and women have tried to fulfill these 3 challenges, and none of them has been able to do that. Kweku, you've really surprised me. From today forth, all folklore and folk tales that are going to be told are going to be called Anansesem as a tribute to your cunning discipline, your wits, your intelligence, and your bravery for carrying out all these challenges. And so it is in lieu of this tale that all the stories you're going to hear on the show today are called Anansesem. It's in lieu of this tale that our episode gets its title, Kwadwo Ananse Stories. And so this is my first story in the first round of the Kasa podcast storytelling competition. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're a boy, I wish you the best.
I have to think about what I have to say now, because I'm going to tell you a story about Ananse and his wife and his 4 kids. Ananse has his wife called Ekow, has 4 kids. That's Intekuma, Itikili, Ifu Dishi, and the last one is
1 hour later.
Korea, right? So this family had a very big farm that they were cultivating. And we all know that during the olden days, they would work with the whole family. Everyone works. But as cunning as Ananse is, he barely used to go to the farm. He hardly worked when he did go to the farm. And then he made it look as if he was doing something, but he wasn't doing anything. Regardless, they harvested the farm. They grew their plantain, their food, everything on the farm. So when it was getting closer to the harvest season, right? Ananse told his wife and kids that he's gotten a revelation he's about to die. And so for his last wish, he doesn't want to be buried in a coffin. He wants to be buried in a house. He wants everything a household has, a kitchen, everything in the house, and wants to be buried in there. That's his last wish. His wife wanted to honor him, and he actually built a place for him. Before he died, he built a place close to their farm and then put in saucepan, everything, completed a house, and it was like, this is where you be buried when you die. So yeah, he died, and then they buried him in the house, and then they left him there with tears. Ananse is gone, his kid, they don't know what they will do and all that. After they had left, after the funeral and everything, a week after his death, it was harvest season. So the wife decided to go back to the farm with the kids to go and harvest their produce. The first day they went to the farm, someone had already been to the farm and had harvested most of the things they were coming to harvest. They didn't understand. This is their farm. No one comes to their farm. So what is happening? They got sad. She cried and cried and cried and cried, and they went back home. They gave themselves some time and went back a week after, thinking, some will still go back and all that. They went and it had still been harvested. They went the next day and it had been harvested. And then she didn't get it. She was like, what is happening? So she made a scarecrow, but then put some gum around, like a statue thing around the scarecrow, and put it at the center of the farm. That night, he didn't know that his wife, Ekow, had come to put the scarecrow in there. So he wakes up at dawn or in the evening when there's no one at the farm, go and harvest all the produce and put it in his house, cook the food and eat. He did that almost every day. So that night when he came to the farm, he saw the scarecrow at the center of the farm and was like, who is this person? And then the person didn't respond. He asked again, who is this person on my farm? The person didn't respond. He walked towards the scarecrow and said, if you do not respond, I'm going to slap you. He asked again, who are you? The person didn't respond. So he slapped the scarecrow, and because it was a sticky scarecrow, his hand got stuck. And then he was like, if you don't leave my hand, I'm going to slap you again. So he asked, who are you? The scarecrow didn't respond, and then he slapped again, and his 2 hands got stuck. And then he was like, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to kick you. And then he asked again, who are you? And the scarecrow didn't respond, and then he kicked with the left leg and did the same with the right leg. And then he ended up getting stuck on the scarecrow like this. He was like that till the next morning when his wife and kids came back to the farm to check on the farm again and to see what was happening. And the wife found out that it was truly his dead husband that was actually the one that was stealing from them. So that is why that is the end of my story, honestly. That is how wait. That is why the spider is always like this on the wall. Yes.
Okay.
That is why.
Okay. Well, it's Wendy's turn. Wendy, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Anansesem, yes,
Yes, it's yeah. It's a wara.
Okay. So, do you guys know that spiders actually used to live on Earth? Like they used to create their works and everything on Earth, like on the ground. So one time, Ananse actually he was very hungry, and you know how cunning Ananse can be. So he decided that okay, let me actually play a quick one on people like moving from one village to another. So he literally, excuse my words, he fired into a bowl and then he sealed it quickly and very tightly, and he put it into a coffin, and then he carried the coffin around wailing, crying, and telling people that he lost his mom. So anybody that meets him, he'll be crying and wailing, and then they all felt that compassion and everything for him. So he opened the coffin a little bit, and then he would just open the bowl a little bit, and then they would have this foul smell, and then everybody would be like, okay. Then everybody was just feeling so compassionate for him, and then some gave him foodstuffs. Those who were consoling him consoled him, and all of that. So he got to one village, and then when he got there, everybody was like, let's give your mom a proper burial. Let's help dig up and then give her the burial she deserves. Now Ananse was confused because he knows his mom is not dead, and he knows there's no body in the coffin, and everybody gathered around trying to, because honestly everybody was feeling sorry for him, and then they felt like his mom actually deserves a buffet in burial. So they got other villagers from the village, they gathered around, they dug a hole to put the mom in, only to open the coffin and there's no body in there. So Ananse quickly just jumped to the top in the corner somewhere, and then that is why Ananse doesn't live on Earth anymore. And then he actually, lives in corners and then creates his webs on the walls and then in corners in certain places.
That's interesting.
That's good.
Wow.
That's a good one. Okay, Uncle.
Kwadwo.
Now your turn. Oh.
They said mine.
If they said yours, you should say someone's own. You see,
No.
you've started losing already.
Just sit back. So,
Mhm.
the title of my story is Ananse, and it's me why. A long time ago, Ananse went to God. He was like, God, look at my wife, just eating anyhow, and even taking my share of the food at home. And God looked at him and was like, Ananse, so what do you want me to do for you? Ananse said, God, I need a wife with no mouth on her face. And God like, you want a wife with no mouth? He was like, yeah. God was like, okay, since I really, really like you, I'll do what you want. So Ananse was very, very excited. He said, finally, I'm getting someone who will not share food with me. So Ananse, he believes in God. He just went to the supermarket, bought yams, rice, a whole lot. He just restocked the kitchen and was like, yes, let's do this. Ananse woke up in the morning and saw this beautiful lady in his kitchen. The wife just turned slightly north. Ananse was so excited because upon seeing that lady, she had no mouth. I was like, yes, finally, I can eat whatever I want without sharing. So Ananse was enjoying every time the wife was preparing new flavors of everything was like going on good. Until one day, Ananse went to the kitchen. He was like, wait. I've been buying food. I know that I can eat. Yeah, I do not share food with anybody. I can eat so much. But like, he said the rate at which the food is like, you're just losing so much food. Because he just ate one tube of yam. He woke up, three is gone. He was like, wait a minute, there's something wrong. He was like, or maybe my wife is hiding something. So he started monitoring his wife. Every now and then goes to the kitchen while the wife is cooking. But like, he doesn't see anything. He was like, then let it be. Maybe I'm eating more than I noticed. So one day, Ananse woke up late in the evening. He was very, very thirsty. And he was like, okay, let me go get some water. But like, he heard this rumbling noise from the kitchen and he was like, what's going on? He went there and Ananse saw the wife sitting down. And once Ananse stood at the door, he was amazed. He was like, what's going on? Because the wife was eating. And people ask me, how's the wife eating without any mouth? Let me tell you, Ananse got to notice that each time the wife just picked like this handful of rice, the wife would just open the right armpit and just shove it in. And it's like, wait, your mouth is right beneath your armpit. Ananse got angry, took the wife, went straight up to God, like, God, you need to come explain yourself. And God was like, you said you wanted a wife with no mouth upon the face. And Ananse was like, oh, yeah. And God was like, you didn't say you didn't want a wife with doubt anymore. And Ananse was just ashamed. And God was like, I know you always bring this mindset, this outlandish plans, but I'm here to tell you, I'm really smarter than you are. Then Ananse was very, very, I don't know how to say. He was disgraced and he begged God to bring back his old wife, because with his old wife, even though they eat, it doesn't really get, like, the food doesn't really finish. So Ananse begged for his old wife, and the old wife came back, and everything went well.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Ananse was disgraced, but guys, we've come to the end of the first round of our stories.
Oh my
And so go into the chat and let us know who told the best story. Once again, this is the Kasa podcast. Today we are telling Ananse stories. If you haven't done that already, please hit that subscribe button. It really goes out to help the channel a lot. We really appreciate when you love and subscribe. Like, subscribe, and share the link. It really helps out the channel a lot.